Hello, and welcome to the very first lecture of this API development series with Python. In this course, we will learn everything about API development step by step without skipping any topic. Let's start this course by having a brief overview of what is an API, how do API works, and what is Web API. Let's pick up the first topic and understand what is an API. API stands for Application Programming Interface. API architecture is a client server architecture in which the application sending request called the client and the application sending response is called as a server. In other words, API allows two different applications to talk with each other, and it also allows the user to make use of resources running on the different server. Every application that we are using in our day-to-day life are relies on the APIs as they can ship information from one technology to another. Now let's move on to the another topic and understand how does API works. API works on client server architecture. The application sending request is called as a client and the application sending response is called as a server. Basically, there are four different ways that API can work. Those are SOAP API, RPC APIs, WebSocket APIs, and REST APIs. Let's discuss on these APIs one by one and understand how they work. SOAP APIs uses Simple Object Access Protocol. In this API, client and server exchange messages using XML. These are less flexible and was popular past days. The second is RPC API. These APIs are called remote procedure calls. In this API, client completes a function or a procedure on the server and the server sends output back to the client. The third is WebSocket API. WebSocket API is one of the modern web API that uses JSON object to pass data. A WebSocket API supports two-way communication between client and server. That means the server sends callback message to connected clients, making it more efficient than REST APIs. And the last is REST API. REST stands for Representational State Transfer. REST defines a set of HTTP functions like get, put, post, delete, etc. that client can use to access server data. REST APIs are most popular and flexible these days, in which the client sends requests to the server as a data and the server uses the client input to start the internal procedure and returns the output data to the client. During this process, the server do not save client data between requests. REST APIs are also known as web APIs as they uses the standard client server architecture style and can be used as a URL to access the REST endpoints with the help of web browser and the web server. Web APIs or REST APIs exchange the information between web browser and the web server, which means we can type any URL in the browser to visit the REST endpoint and can get the response from the server in a plain JSON data without rendering a web page. This brings us to the end of the first lecture. In this lecture, we have discussed about the APIs, their working and their type. In the next lecture, we will set up a Python project. This is all from this video. Thank you for listening and have a great day.